Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm going to reveal my Game Week 5 plans. I'll also take a look at the most attacking defenders, which will help my decisions. I'll also look at what was good Game Week 4 for me, and I hope that continues into Game Week 5, probably wishful thinking. Plus, I'll reveal the latest in my Game Week 6 wildcard early plans, especially what to do with a spot I had reserved for Wissa, but who is now absent for injury for another 2 months. Before we do that, just a plug for the members area, any stats I show here, any fixtures I discuss, that's from the season ticker. And there's lots of tools and gadgets there at Fantasy Football Scout in the members area. Do have a look at the website to get an idea of the latest offers and the sort of tools that are available to help you climb up your mini leagues. Also, do press that like button, does help us out. Do remember to subscribe so you keep up to date with all the latest videos and podcasts as well. Okay, let's have a look at Game Week 4, see how that was for me. I got 61 points, which was about 10 over the average, which in a week where many people had quite a poor week, 61, I feel quite happy with that. Because basically, Haaland was the main one for most people, including myself, got 26 points as my captain. And it was a whole sea of ones and twos for everyone else. So if you owned like one or two players who just did anything else, you had a good game week. So I was 1.2 million in the rankings. Before the Arsenal game on Sunday, I was about 1.1 million. Little green arrow, but Gabriel's goal for me and clean sheet, that propelled me up to 790k, which is great. So I had Henderson, Porro, Robertson, all 1s and 2 points. Gabriel, 15 points. That's the difference. Minter didn't do anything for me. Gordon, not for want of trying, didn't do anything. Diogo Jota came off at 59 minutes. Annoyingly, 8 seconds short of... if he'd have walked a bit faster, that would have been good. Walked a bit slower, rather, that would have been good for me. Mo Salah, who was new in, for me, he got 2 points. Smith Rowe came off the bench for me for João Pedro, who was also new in. So effectively, I moved Saka and Isak to Salah and Pedro, which would have, I would think I would have just broken even with that or something like. No, I would have got. No, I would have been down for that because Saka got an assist, but because Smith Rowe came in, I actually ended that particular move 1 point up. And I'm much happier going into Game Week 5 with Salah and Pedro if he's fit, rather than Saka, who faces Man City and has an injury, as far as we know at the moment. I'm recording this on Wednesday morning. I believe this is going out first thing Thursday. So we may have had some extra news about that. Isak as well is currently an injury doubt as well. Apparently had double vision after a facial head injury during the game in which he was substituted last time out. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that move. So it was for 2 frees as well, so it didn't cost me anything. Muniz got me 1 point. He was replaced by Jimenez. Annoyingly, Muniz was in League Cup action and didn't do anything, despite almost everyone scoring multiple penalties in their penalty shootout. But so yeah, Muniz. I think it was that penalty shootout. Yes, Muniz sadly didn't do anything for me. Haaland at 26 points. Yeah, on my bench, absolute zeros. Barker 0, Quansah 0, Pedro 0, Fabianski 0. Whole sea of zeros there. So yeah, I mean I'm okay with that. I mean I'm not like whoop de whoop with my 61 points because I've really realised that it's a team I think that needs wildcarding, because the fixtures do change in Game Week 6 quite a lot. I'm not really set up for that. I'm just tired. There's players, I've got Minter not really doing it. He is young still. Could be a good option, but I don't think he is at the moment. And the fixtures stiffen for Brighton from Game Week 6. Gordon's okay, but I'm happy to lose him as well. Muniz has lost his place possibly. And he's just not the player I thought he was going to be. Saka is a miss now, so I'd like him back for Game Week 6. I think Smith Rowe would probably be the only player I might move on that with a hanky to my eyes as little tear forms, because I think he's a really good option. I may end up just keeping him, but yeah, the rest of them can just go, I reckon. So yeah, not a. It's okay. Yeah, good score, but masking issues here. So I'm going to put my Game Week 5 team up. So as I said, I'm going to wildcard in Game Week 6. I just have that one free transfer. So I'll read out my team and I'll explain what I'll probably be doing depending on different scenarios, which by the time you watch this, you may know more of. Of course, there's League Cup action during the week, Wednesday night. So I'm calling this before that. Also, some more Champions League games as well. So I'm currently going into this with Henderson in goal, at home to Manchester United. It's okay, not great. Pedro Porro at home to Brentford. I'm okay with that. Gabriel away to Man City. I'm basically just not going to bench Gabriel now because especially in these tougher games, what are Arsenal good at? Set pieces. So if they're going to get anything from this game, it's going to be a set piece. Of course, they could even get a clean sheet from this. Arsenal defence is pretty good, but he is against Haaland. So something's got to give. I think if I field Haaland and Gabriel, I'm hedging my bets a bit. Robinson at home to Newcastle. I'll explain more. I prefer him to be my first sub rather than in my team. I've got Minter at home to Nottingham Forest. Give him another go. If he gets benched, I'm okay with him coming on. In fact, I'll probably prefer that because he might be a bit more spurred up to do something. Gordon away to Fulham. Okay with that. Diego Jota at home to Bournemouth. I'm marginally okay with that, although he did start in the Champions League. Although he didn't score, Darwin Núñez came on and didn't really impress at all. And I thought they were a bit better with Jota in the side as well. Salah, captain, at home to Bournemouth. Very happy with that. Well, I say that now. Smith Rowe at home to Newcastle. I'm just going to play him now. It could be his final game for me. Haaland's my vice-captain at home to Arsenal. And João Pedro, if fit, at home to Nottingham Forest. Why not? We will know more because there will be the Brighton manager will be discussing Pedro's fitness before Brighton have their League Cup game tonight, of which you wouldn't expect Pedro to play that anyway, but his availability for it is of interest. So he could be on the bench, for example. The manager could say, yeah, he's fine, but I'm not playing him here because it's just League Cup. I don't know, but we might get some definite. Or he might say, look, he's just going to be out for a couple of weeks. I've got on my bench, I've got Fabianski. Muniz is my first sub currently, but if he's only going to get a minute and he's at home to Newcastle, I don't know. Quansah is still there somehow. Barco is still there somehow as well. So my plan moves are, it's pretty much defence is a problem. I would prefer to get Robinson as my first sub rather than Muniz, because I just feel he might get an assist. They could even keep a clean sheet, especially if Isak is out. But I think I'd prefer Robinson as a sort of a good bench option. I don't really fancy him in my main 11. So what I would ideally like to do is the move that I was talking about last week, which was Quansah out for Robertson. So I was going to... I thought I might have to make that move early this week because Quansah's price would go down, Robertson's price would go up. But Robertson's price hasn't gone up because Liverpool didn't get a clean sheet last time out, so people don't like that. He's on about, on all the statistics sites, he's on, I think about 40% chance of going up at the moment, 40% on the way to going up, and Quansah's sort of 30% on to go down. So I think if I can survive until sort of Friday afternoon for this, I'll better make that move. I've got exact money to do Quansah to Robertson at the moment. And so Robertson would come in for Robinson would dip down onto the bench there. That's probably my most sensible move. But if Pedro is definitely out, so if Pedro is like a doubt, I'll just play him and just hope my bench come on. Smith Rowe came on last week, so, just got to trust in the bench. But if Pedro is a definitely out, I can move Muniz because I've got 1.8 million in the bank for the Quansah to Robertson money. I can move Muniz to someone like, I could go up to Solanke's at home to Brentford. I quite like that. I could go for a 1 week punt on Vardy as well. I'm okay with that against Everton. Calvert-Lewin is ill at the moment. He might have been in my thoughts because I'm wildcarding game week 6. I'm tempted to use that transfer. Now, other people will say, I see this a lot, because we can save these 5 transfers this season. I see lots of people really going for this saving 5 transfers, saving transfers. But a lot of the teams I'm seeing, players, managers doing that, they're not doing so well, because I think you still need to use transfers to address the game week at hand. And also last week, so I had 2 free transfers. I moved Salah, Salah and Pedro in for Isak and Saka. If I'd have had 3 free transfers, I would have removed Gabriel to Robertson. I definitely would have done that move, and many people did. And I would have been 50. I would have been, well, whatever, Robertson got 2 points, so I would have been 13 points down. So that extra transfer would have actually cost me. So you've got to bear in mind these kinds of things. A transfer can also cost you points as well as get you points. And also long term, I don't think that would be a good move. So anyway, what I'll do is I'm quite happy to still do that sort of traditional strategy of, I'm going to wildcard. I'll take a 1 week punt beforehand, because looking at my team, I'll put my game week 6 wildcard team up in a sec, but looking at that, whichever sort of pattern I go with, I'm pretty happy with that for a good few weeks. And I don't think I'm going to have to make that many changes. So I'm going to hopefully build up transfers that way. But if I need to make a transfer, I will. I mean, I think I think it was Mark Suddens on one of his black box videos was saying similar about that. He felt that people would see that as an opportunity with the rule change to save transfers up to 5, and they carry through wildcards to do that, and they would miss out then on opportunities. And I do think that is the case, and I think this week is an opportunity with a lot of, say for example, the likes of Vardy. They've got good fixtures this week, and you don't want them long term. Perfect for a 1 week punt. I mean, I remember I've done that before with, players, perhaps, when Stoke were in the Premier League, I might go, I'll go for a Stoke midfielder. I don't want them long term, but, for 1 week. But I think Robertson is my key one. So on that note, I've got a table I've done from the Fantasy Football Scout members area looking at attacking defenders. And I've sorted this by minutes per expected goal involvement. Obviously, they're defenders, so they're not going to be huge. They're good, but nevertheless, I've got lots of other metrics here. So I was just sort of stress testing my decision there for Robertson. I'm fairly confident I'll be able to do that. There may be an unexpected price change, in which case I'll be locked out with that. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. I will go for an alternative defender, I think, possibly, or I might go for that Muniz to someone like Vardy move, or Solanke. But anyway, here is the list of defenders. Top, understandably, is Alexander Arnold, but he costs 7 million, so I'm locked out of that. I can't do that. If you can, or it's already in your team, you should feel lucky. He's created 11 chances, taken 12 corners, and his minutes per baseline bonus is strong. He's racking up one of these baseline bonus every 6.4 minutes, which is very strong. Sorry, I was just taking a sip of water. If you were listening to that on the podcast version and you just heard a gulp and some silence. He's had no assists, so he should do. I suspect he's going to be on the assists imminent table on the podcast that I do with Mark Joblin every week, so listen out for that. Alexander Arnold would be the one to get. I can't afford him. Sugawara at Southampton, who's actually the talisman of Southampton. That's how poor Southampton are. He is their most attacking player. He's won 5 fouls, created 5 chances, but his minutes per expected goal involvement's every 284 minutes. I'm not going to go there. Southampton I'm just looking at the fixtures here. Southampton have Ipswich as well, so it's not a game I can particularly guess, really. 2 promoted sides. Luca Dean at Aston Villa is intriguing, although he did start in the Champions League, so that places a slight question mark over will he start at the weekend. I'm sure he will, but he might not. I would go for that. Luca Dean at home to Wolves in game week 5. But yeah, he's won 3 fouls, created 5 chances, corners, taken 6 corners, and he's got a couple of assists already. So I think he's quite good. Porro's next on the list. I've already got him, but I put him in there. You know, if you're watching or listening and you don't have him, Porro at home to Brentford. I think he has been very good so far this season. I hope he survives in my wildcard. He may or may not, just because of price. But he's created 10 chances. He has, of course, got his goal and no assists. But with winning 7 fouls, got a shot inside the box. You know, these are quite good attacking, defensive, attacking stats for a defender. Mitchell at Crystal Palace, he's the one that's getting away because everyone went for Munoz first off in the season. They're sort of ignoring Mitchell, who's been doing better. Yeah, so he's got an assist. Shots inside the box 3 to Munoz's 2. And he's won a couple of fouls as well. He's created 8 chances. Munoz has created 4. So if I was going for an attacking Crystal Palace defender, I would go for Mitchell. He's down to 4.9. I think he's a better bet. Next up is Robertson. He's the one I'm going to get, mainly because Bournemouth, again, Liverpool against Bournemouth, I think it's the best fixture of the week. There's a chance, very strong chance of a clean sheet. Also strong chance of attacking returns because he's taken 14 corners. In the Champions League this week, who were the scorers and who were involved in the goals? Well, it was both their fullbacks and both their centre-backs scored. So Alexander-Arnold and Tsimikas were providers for Konate and Van Dijk. So that was good. I'm not sure that's going to happen again. But it does fill me with confidence about the way they play. But the fact that he's on 14 corners, created 6 chances, and that 3 clean sheets already. Of course, he didn't get it against Nottingham Forest. And a couple of shots inside the box. So Robertson's the one for me. Leif Davis at Ipswich, 4.5. He's actually the talisman of Ipswich, although they have the worst attacking stats of any team so far this season. But he has won 5 fouls. He has created 4 chances, taken 7 corners. He's got an assist already. If I didn't get Robertson, I might be tempted just to take a 1-week punt on Leif Davis as a sort of an audition, possibly, for being in my wildcard side. Yeah, because he's got Southampton away. Game week 5, but from game week 6, Aston Villa, that's a bit, well, I mean, obviously they're all going to be tough matches for Ipswich because they don't attack much and they're, you know, newly promoted, but nevertheless they're okay fixtures. Aston Villa at home, West Ham away, Everton at home, Brentford away, Leicester at home, Tottenham away in game week 11. So the run of fixtures is quite strong there. So I'm quite tempted. I'm tempted. Munoz, as I said, I'm not tempted because Mitchell's the one, I think. And I've just read out his stats. And the other player is Lewis Dunk. He is another player I could get in as well. So I've got Barco still in my team. He is my 3rd Brighton player because I've got Pedro and Minter as well. So if I wanted to get Dunk at home to Nottingham Forest, I mean, that has been, even under De Zerbi, that's been 0-0. And we lost to them at Nottingham Forest. So I think Lewis Dunk, he's gone up to 4.6 now. Shots inside the box 1, fouls 1, 2. He does take a free kick or 2 every now and again. Created 4 chances so far. Obviously, his minutes per expected goal involvement is very, very low. It's the worst out of any of these ones I mentioned. All of those I've mentioned have all had a minimum of 4 chances created, so a minimum of a chance a game, and they've a minimum of 4 starts, so they're reliable starters, which could even extend to Luca Dean there. So there's some good options there. I hope that's been of interest there. So I'll just go back to my game week 5 team just so people can see there. So it's really, João Pedro's fitness is the key for me. I might go there. I'm okay playing Robinson, but I would like Robinson on the bench. I would like Robertson. But as I said, Leif Davis or Luca Dean could be a 1-week punt there. I'm not afraid to take those 1-week punts at the moment. I see transfers as both a hindrance and a help. I know I did FPL General's show. He had 3 transfers. I think he did do that Gabriel to Robertson move, which is exactly what I would have done if I had 3 transfers. And he indeed said, you know, he didn't like it when he has 2 transfers. When he has 3, it was, you know, fills him with dread. Okay. I'm going to put on my early game week 6 plans as well. So as I said, I'm going to look into wildcard game week 6. So what I showed you last week, if you were watching or listening last week, was basically this team. But I had Havertz as a third Arsenal player alongside Gabriel and Saka, and I had Wissa in for Brentford. So there's been some changes. I've also taken the opportunity to sort of play around a little bit with this. So, okay, my current thinking for game week 6, I've got a tiny bit in the bank as a bit of ballast for this, or 0.4 or something. I've got Raya in goal, so he is my third Arsenal, and I've gone for an Arsenal defensive double up. Now, they do have City in game week 5, but this is from game week 6. They've got Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth, and then they got this tough run: Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea. But we saw in their last game, just how strong they can be against, for example, against an attacking side like Tottenham, where set pieces could be key and they could get a clean sheet as well. So I don't mind that Arsenal double up even in tough fixtures. Anyway, I've got enough to get Alexander-Arnold as well, and he is my sole Liverpool player at the moment. I think why not go for the best if I can. So I've got Raya, and I've got Robinson as well. He has stayed in Fulham. I think he's pretty good value. He's gone up to 4.6. Fulham's fixtures, they dovetail quite nicely with Spurs, which is quite good to know. Robinson has got Nottingham Forest away, so I'm happy to play him. Van de Ven or Porro on the bench, and they help each other out with rotation very nicely. So Fulham, I could play Robinson game week 6, no problem. Game week 7, I wouldn't want to play him because he plays Man City. But then I have a look at Spurs, and game week 7 they got Brighton, so I would prefer to play a Spurs defender then. And then Fulham, they've got pretty nice, okay fixtures. They've got Aston Villa at home, game week 8. Everton away, Brentford at home, Crystal Palace away, and Spurs as well have pretty good fixtures from game week 5 onwards. Including Ipswich, West Ham, Crystal Palace in that mix as well. So I'm happy to play either of them, really, which is good. It gives you choices as well. Okay, so that's my defence. I've got Brian Mbomo. I think, he is the one to get at the moment for Brentford. He is their talisman. Saka, he is the talisman for Arsenal. Pretty nailed on. And he'll be my captain at home to Leicester. Bowen, and once again, a talisman. You see the theme here. I'm going for talisman in teams that don't, maybe, even if they've got Champions League commitments, they're pretty nailed on most of the time. So Bowen doesn't have that commitments. So I like him. West Ham's fixtures are pretty good from game week 6. Just having a look at their Brentford, Ipswich, Tottenham, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, Everton for the next few fixtures. Pretty good. Semenyo, once again, the talisman for Bournemouth, and they don't have any cup commitments there. I think Semenyo at home to Southampton's pretty good, and he rotates quite nicely with Rodgers, who's also in my team on the bench. Up front, I've gone for Solanke instead of Havertz because I can't get 4 Arsenal players in. Haaland, he's back in. Well, let's say back in. He's never left. He's there. Away to Newcastle, but then from game week 7 at home to Fulham is, good run continues. And I've gone for Chris Wood instead of Wissa. So I was having a look at alternatives. So I've done two other videos this week. One with FPL General and one with Tom Freeman. And both of them had a very of a theme of like they've got problems with their forwards, which ones to get. So you can take sort of punts on players like Calvert-Lewin or Vardy. But I just look at them like Nottingham Forest fixtures are pretty good. They got Fulham at home game week 6. So I was just looking at Man City's fixtures for game. Sorry, game week. I think I may have said that Man City had Fulham in game week 6. Man City have Fulham in game week 7. That's when their good run continues. Yeah. So anyway, with Fulham, they got Nottingham Forest. So Wood against Fulham. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that at home as well. But then you've got Chelsea away, Crystal Palace at home, Leicester away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. You see what they did to Liverpool as well. So I just think go for sort of tried and tested player. Also, I'd like Kuna from sort of game week 10 onwards. And so Chris Wood's a sort of a holding player for Kuna. and Kuna's 6.5. I think he'll be popular as well from then, because Wolves fixtures from about game week 10, they're good right up until sort of Boxing Day, New Year's Day time. So Kuna would be very good there. Strand Larson is another player to consider. On my bench, I've got Fabianski. Rogers, as I said, rotates quite nicely with Semenyo, I think. I tentatively looked at that. But I just think basically Aston Villa's fixtures are pretty good until game week 11 when they've got, also game week 10, 11 when they've got Tottenham, Liverpool. I've got Van de Ven. I'd like him to be Porro though. And if I can afford him, I would. And Mosquero. So I'm getting ahead for game week sort of 10 with a Wolves defender. He's just third on the bench. I've had Barco as my third bench. I've never had to go to the third bench. So you want a 4.0. And, he's playing in Wolves. And Wolves, as I said, fixtures game week 10 are really, really good. So I've got up on the screen, the big question for me is Havertz versus Raya. So I could have Raya, Gabriel, Saka, Raya, Gabriel, Saka, and a player like Solanke. That's about as much as I can afford. I can't afford Watkins, for example. But if I didn't do that, I would have Havertz instead of Raya as my third Arsenal player. And in goal, I would have Verbruggen and Flecken, who rotate really, really well, really brilliantly. Brentford are really great fixtures right up until game week 12, I think it is. And it's game week 12 is when Brighton's fixtures get really good. So that's absolutely perfect. So I might do that. That actually saves me 0.5 as well, which means I can get Solanke up to Havertz with this team, more or less, barring any other price changes. So I like that as well, and I might go with that one more. I mean, whilst, the thought of having that Arsenal defensive double up, that gives you that slight edge, because, most people are going to have an Arsenal defender from game week 6, I think. Probably Gabriel, so having Raya as well will help. But I do think there's a lot of clean sheet possibility for Flecken and Verbruggen, which I like to get there. And I'm not wholly sold on Solanke, whereas Havertz I just feel could be a really great option. I think he's obviously the main man up front for Arsenal. And Arsenal, I think, it's going to be between Arsenal and City probably for the title this year. You would think they're the best two sides. Liverpool might have a say in that as well. So that's my thoughts there. I put the rating there. I've used the planning tool on the app, Fantasy Football Scout. My expected points this week are 58, and it's a 97% rating. And whether I go for Havertz or Raya, whichever those, they're still pretty strong, and they're pretty strong. Like last week, I showed sort of my wildcard, how it would pan out in future game weeks, and it's pretty strong. So that's what I'm looking for. So game week 5, really, I'm just all waiting for game weeks. I'm waiting to press the button on Saturday for that. But nevertheless, hope that was of use there. It's a bit of a rambling one this week, but as I said, sort of game week 5's sort of a nothingy game week for me, where I was just sort of cover myself with the Liverpool defence probably, or might take a 1 week punt on one of those strikers that I don't want long term. I hope that was of help. Just a reminder, do press that like button. Do remember to subscribe. Keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts. Good luck with game week 5. See you soon.